Yo, what up?
Yo, BTV Sports is in the building. What it is, everybody, is Jason Enrique along with
Mr. Yahtzee himself. You go, boy.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first inaugural episode, I guess we call, for New York Sports. So, yeah, let's just start it off with a little bit of our fandom. Let the audience know.
Yeah, kick it off.
So, for me, as far as sports goes, it goes Yankees, Jets, Knicks, and Devils.
In that order.
In that order, yeah. In that order. I think at one point it was Knicks first and then Yankees, but then James Dolan came in and he knocked it down a peg or two or something like that. My first foray into sports was really my dad. Rest in peace, my father. Diehard Yankee fan, diehard Knicks fan. He was a Rangers fan, though, but the thing is that he never took us to any Ranger games, but he was able to get plenty of tickets to the Devils, and the Devils were actually red hot. We won 3 championships in that time span, and they were the only team really from Jersey, unless you want to count the Nets at that time, but they weren't really relevant.
True.
And that's how I became a fan of them. But Patrick Ewing was my hero at the time. Me and my father watched a lot of basketball religiously. And also about the Yankees, the late 90s Yankees, they were just a dynasty.
Of course.
Like, he was a big Yankee fan as well, and he would take us to Yankee Stadium, the old Yankee Stadium, countless times. Like, it seemed like every summer we would go all the time. Like, it was either at work, at the park, at home, or at Yankee Stadium. So that's where basically our summers are. And maybe he'll sprinkle in an occasional Six Flags or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, but it was just a dynasty. I remember my brother was like the biggest Derek Jeter fan of all time. Like, Derek Jeter this, Derek Jeter that. I want to grow up to be Derek Jeter, this and that. And it was just a time to be alive. I know that phrase gets thrown out a lot, but that really was a time to be alive.
Thanks.
And then as far as football, well, the interesting thing about football is I don't know what my father was a fan of. Like, I seen him sometimes root for the Jets, but I also remember an old picture of him wearing an old school Giant starter jacket or something like that.
Starter jacket, singing all of that.
I think he was just, I think when it came to football, he was just, I just root for New York. I just want to see good games. But I guess I really fell into the foray of being a Jets fan. Unfortunately, I should say, I might add, is because of my cousin Renee. Shout out to Renee, who's the biggest Met fan in the world. I mean, he bleeds orange and blue. This is hyperbolic, but I think he loves the Mets more than he loves his own family.
That sounds like most Met fans.
Yeah.
It's not too far-fetched.
Yeah. Oh, my kid's graduating, fine, but what about the Mets?
Right, exactly. 3 games back in the wild card? Okay, all right.
We're going to make it. We'll pull through. But no, he got me into the Jets because I was spending a lot of time with him. I looked at him as a big brother at the time, and he was just all Jets out all the time. And the Giants didn't really appeal to me for whatever reason. And this is silly too, but my favorite cartoon as a kid was the Jetsons. So I figured Jetsons, Jets. So that was
So George Jetson played a role in your fandom.
Unfortunately, he played a big role in that, but yeah. And then also at the time, I thought that we were actually going to be flying in cars and shit like that, but no. But yeah, that's a little bit of my sports background, and I'll just take it over to you, Ugo.
Okay, football for me, I'll go one by one instead of a smorgasbord. Football for me, America's key team, Dallas Cowboys, 5-time world champion Dallas Cowboys. It's been forever.
I hear a lot of booze in the background right now.
Oh yeah, tons. That's Jersey in a nutshell, man. In Jersey, you're either a Giant fan, Jet fan, or a Cowboy fan. Like, it's really those three. And I grew up in the 90s, so I was spoiled. By the time I was 10 years old, the Cowboys had a dynasty. I used to watch football with my dad. I stopped watching with him because he's a jinx. He's a Giant fan. He is a jinx, man. When I watch him and Dallas is on, it is a guaranteed L, bro. So I stopped years ago. But he's a Giant fan, and I grew up watching ball with him. And the first game I watched, I think I was about 4, was the Super Bowl. Giants weren't even playing. It was Cowboys-Bills. And whoever won that game, I was going to be a fan. Cowboys won. 30 years later, we still at it.
Does your father ever give you that stuff? Oh my God, what kind of son did I raise by being?
He just hates Dallas. he'll never root for him. We could be playing in a Super Bowl against a team he doesn't care about. He's gonna root against them. But it comes with the dinner, man. It is what it is.
So hypothetically, if the Jets and the Cowboys were in the Super Bowl, he's going for the Jets.
Probably, yeah. He likes New York teams.
Okay.
He's a Giant fan, but if the Jets are doing well, he'll watch.
Okay,
he'll watch. And my brother's a polar opposite. He's a 49er fan. But he's only a 49er fan because they were beefing with the Cowboys in the 90s. And the beef is back. We've been in the playoffs the last 2 years, and they put us out. So, yeah, so that's football. Long-suffering, just like you're long-suffering. Because it's been a minute for us.
At least you got to experience some Super Bowl wins. I'm still waiting for my first one.
A couple. But
Shout out to Joe Benengo.
I still have the last one we got on VHS. I still got saved. I'm gonna switch it over to digital. The one where we do win, I'll switch it over. But it's been a minute. But they got a good year. We'll get to the teams how we're looking this year. But they got a good squad this year. They got a shot, so we'll see. Baseball, Yankees, 1,000% Yankees. I've been a fan since I was 7. I played baseball growing up, fell in love with it. Derek Jeter. I had the biggest crush on Mariah Carey growing up, and when I found out he dated her, I hated him for a bit. But he was just so good, I got over it. You know what I mean? And his documentary, The Captain, was fire. That was one of the best documentaries I ever, sports documentaries I'd ever seen. And I grew up loving, man, Paul O'Neill, Chuck Knobloch, Derek Jeter, Bernie Williams, Andy Pettit. Roger Clemens came over. As much as people hate A-Rod, before A-Rod even came to the Yankees, I was an A-Rod fan because he was just so good. Yeah, when he was with Seattle, I liked him.
Oh, okay.
I'll take it even back. Him, A-Rod, and Ken Griffey were two of my favorite players growing up. Like when I came up to the bat, I tried to do their batting stances and have their swag and wristbands and all that.
Yeah,
like
those backwards and everything.
I try, all that. But nah. So Yankees growing up for sure. I was spoiled because in college, that 2009 World Series, it was my 3rd year in college. I got to watch that in the midst of a bunch of Philly fans, so it was that much sweeter. So shout out to Tom McGinnis. I watched at his house. but nah, man. So Yankees just spoiled, and we'll get to them too. But it's been a minute. But long suffering. It's a shame that we're saying that now. Long suffering Yankee fan because it's been 14 years. But exactly. And hockey, I'll root for the Devils because they're the hometown team. The Stars too because I love Texas teams. So Stars and Devils back and forth. I got love for both of them. And the basketball, Hakeem Olajuwon was my hero growing up. It's Rockets, Houston Rockets. I just got a jersey. I just got a Olajuwon jersey for my boy Mongo. Shout out to Mongo. He's my co-host on Sports Talk on the Ugo Boy podcast, live from Bravery Studios. We got an episode coming up actually this week at Chop Studios and Chop Sports Studios in Mattawan. So hype for that. Marv is nodding in the background. Y'all can't see it. But yeah, so Cowboys, Yankees, Devils/Stars, Rockets.
Yeah, and you've been doing your damn thing as far as the sports show is concerned because you actually had Lombardi on your show.
Yes, sir.
I always keep on messing up his name.
Adnan Verk. Yes.
He was a phenomenal guest.
Oh, he was great.
He also reignited my crush in Monica Bellucci.
Oh my God, yes. Oh, me and Marv were both loving that. Like, Monica Bellucci, she can still get it. Yeah, he don't know what to do with all that.
But you've been killing it. But you've actually been in like the sports media, so to speak, in different aspects. That's how you know these connections.
Oh, absolutely. So I was with Odyssey / Cadence 13 for 2 years as a podcast producer. I worked on the GM Shuffle with Michael Lombardi and Adnan Verk. I worked on Kevin Durant's podcast, on Carmelo Anthony's podcast, on David Spade and Dana Carvey. I worked on their podcast too. And so sports and a little entertainment as well. But I just knew at some point that I was going to start forging my own path. And it started with the Base podcast, which I'm still involved with my brothers from the Penn State. Shout out to the Base show, the Base Rundown. And then my show, the Ugo Boy podcast, we're over 1 now. We turned 1 on June 9th, which is also my brother's birthday. So it was dope to be on the outside, but getting in and being a part of it now, running your own show, having success, growing your fan base, growing your subscribers, your followers, just playing the game, building your resume. That's all it is. I mentioned that on one of my podcast episodes recently. All the social media is just a curated resume, you know what I mean? And it's dope though to be around so many other podcasters, in the sports world and around who understand that, you got to get the numbers up, but you got to have the content's got to be right.
Absolutely.
So it's been fun.
I think that you and me are simpatico when it comes to that.
Absolutely.
We very carefully care about the craft and everything. We know that we're in an oversaturated market.
Yes.
And we just try to do the best that we can with the talent that we have.
For sure. So what you want to hit first?
It is a baseball town, depending on who you ask. And we are in the summertime right now. And we have 2 disastrous teams going on right now in the year of 2023. It's funny because I was listening to one radio station a couple of months ago where they were talking about the idea of who's going to have a better summer. Is it going to be Aaron Judge or is it going to be Pete Alonso from the Yankees and the Mets? Sure. And needless to say, it didn't turn out that way. Now it's just become even more bigger than that. It's like these teams are just disasters. And the Mets, it seems like they were primed to go to the World Series this year. They had the highest payroll in baseball. They had Justin Verlander. They still had Max Scherzer, who was still like on the back 9, but there was still high hopes for him. Mm-hmm. We had Pete Alonso. But more importantly, it was the fact that it was supposed to be the new regime of the Mets because they got rid of the Wilpons, have the richest owner of all of sports. He's going to spend like a drunken sailor. And it always makes me laugh because a lot of the Met fans that I know would always used to say or make fun of me for being a Yankee fan. Oh, you guys just bought those championships. Now you got an owner that could outspend the Yankees. And then what happens if you guys start winning championships? Can we use that same excuse as well? But anyway, besides the point, I just did not expect the disaster that we're expecting right now from both teams. Especially, I think the biggest surprise for me, though, is the Mets. But let's stick with the Yankees for right now because you and I are both Yankee fans, as we noted. I didn't. Now, here's the thing. I'm always expecting a World Series every year because
as you should,
and that's the way they're
27 of them. Like you should expect that.
Yes, that is the one team that I have where it has to be World Series or bust.
Yeah,
championship or bust. And I didn't. Now I have to be honest. I didn't think that we were going to go. Maybe we could have gone to the ALCS like we did last year, even though we got swept by the Astros. But the future was looking bright, but the thing that I wasn't happy about was the extension of Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone. When they signed extensions, that goes to show that they're going to be here for quite a while. So we got to get used to it. So the only thing that I could do is just remain positive and hope that Aaron Judge is going to be continuing to be the best player that he's been so far, arguably the best player in baseball when he's healthy. But it's just falling off the rails, and it just seems like those. I don't know if Hal Steinbrenner is thinking that he's having buyer's remorse with those extension contracts to Cashman and Boone.
It's frustrating. We talked about this in the pre-pod. Marvin loving it. It's like, at least with the Mets, they had the foresight to understand, okay, it's not going to work.
Yes.
They understood that Verlander, they gave him, something like $40 million a year, something crazy like that. Like, just, and mind you, he's
40-year-old pitcher, too.
Yeah, he's one of the oldest pitchers in baseball, top 3 in age.
Well, he did win Cy Young last year.
True. He's still a good, effective pitcher or whatnot. And and with Scherzer, who's again older, a lot of innings logged, especially with Washington. He helped them win a World Series, but guy was pitching like every other day. And they quickly understood it's not going to work. We signed them both, big money contracts. It's not going to work. Let's eat some of the money. Let's trade them away. Let's get as much as we can and start this rebuild now. Mind you, we talked about this too. There's no salary cap in baseball.
Right.
So it's not a situation where, okay, in 2 or 3 years when they get off the books, then we can start making moves. No, you can make moves every year. You could push that luxury tax until Jesus comes back. It doesn't matter. Right. You know what I mean? So the Mets had the foresight to be like, okay, so let's get away from Verlander. Let's get away from Scherzer. Let's start getting away from some other guys too. Canna, one of their third basemen, they got rid of him. They got rid of a couple infielders and this, then, and third. Robertson, a pitcher.
That was a big surprise for me.
It wasn't a shocker for me. Actually, what was a shocker for me is that they just, after, not even the year's not even done yet. With 2 months left, trade deadline, they're just like, we're going to blow it up. We're just going to blow it up. Because they knew we're not going to get to the playoffs. And even if we do miraculously get in, we're probably going to be one and done. But the Yankees, on the other hand, it's like Cashman's tone deaf. They and it's frustrating even more because a couple years ago, he did have the foresight to sell. What was it, 2017 or 2016? 2016. They got swept by Tampa toward the trade deadline. They traded everybody. Beltran got traded. Chapman got traded. Miller got traded. Everything must go. It was liquidation. They traded like 6 or 7 guys just went. And then in return, we got Gleyber Torres, we got Clint Frazier, we got a whole bunch of prospects.
A very rare fire sale for the Yankees.
Very rare. Very rare. And they don't typically do that.
No.
So in a year where you're right, as we sit here today on this lovely Sunday in Garfield, we're about 5 or 6 games out of the last wild card spot. They're in last place in the division. They are worse than the Boston Red Sox. Boston is one of the worst teams in the league.
Yes.
They have a winning record, but they're still not good. You look at their roster, like just their lineup, what they throw out there. They got Rafael Devers, and I challenge you to name 3 other guys, not Turner, in their lineup. You probably can't do it.
I can't think of anyone off the top of my head right now.
Exactly, and we're worse than them. They're worse. They got swept by the Red Sox like last month. And
they have one of the highest payrolls in baseball as well.
Exactly.
Not as high as the Yankees, but it's still pretty high up.
It's still up there. So what I'm saying is it's frustrating to be tone deaf and to be in denial, thinking that this current construction can somehow get hot like Philadelphia last year, somehow get one of those magical wild card spots and then just go on this mystical Walt Disney run in the playoffs. It's not going to happen.
Especially if you know you're not going to make it to the playoffs.
Exactly.
I've given up on I'm just like you. I gave up on the Yankees
months
a couple of months ago.
I was out months ago.
I don't know why, but I just feel like I've seen this movie before. I know what's going to happen. So now I'm just full force into football right now. I can't wait for football season. Even though football, we talk about it all year anyway. Off season.
Football is king.
Football is king. But no, so I actually asked you a little bit before the pre-production meeting because there's this thing that there's a lot of people that have this kind of thing where All right, yeah, we know that the Yankees haven't been to a World Series in over a decade. We haven't even won a World Series. We haven't gone to a World Series. We haven't really showed the calibership of what Yankee fans expect and so on and so forth. But they always win 100 games every year, and they're always in it in the playoffs. They're usually in the top two in the division. So there's other people out there that think that I'd rather be that relevant team that's always in it year after year. They may make it or may not make it. But then you also have the Red Sox or even the Dodgers, or I can't think of another team that escapes me right now, but they're bad for a couple of years, and then afterwards they go to the championship and they win it, then they're bad again, but afterwards they retool and they continue to make runs. I don't know about you, but well, I think I know. I'm the latter because even if you have to blow it all up and everything, at least you know what you're getting in the end. Where I feel like if we're gonna be consistently in it every year in the playoffs, we're gonna win 100 games every year. But what is it all for? It doesn't mean anything if it's not going to be for a championship. And I'm sorry for using this analogy, but it's starting to feel like we're like the Dallas Cowboys. We're always in it, and we just never make it to the end.
Listen, I've heard that. Joe Beningo actually used the same analogy, and me and Mongo, we just nodded because he's not wrong. He's not. Listen, you're good on paper, right? You're on TV all the time because everybody wants to watch you, whether they want to watch you because they hate you or because really it's because you've got the biggest fan base. That's really why people watch. You got the biggest fan base and everybody's envious of that, so they want to tune in to watch you lose. That's the Yankees. That's the Cowboys. But the fundamental difference between those two franchises in particular, the Cowboys figured out team building. They're like, okay, Jerry, you can have the GM title because you're a narcissist. You can have it. Congratulations. You're the general manager. It's like giving a kid a toy and you already know that you're going to take it away from him and send him to bed. All right, here's your toy. They quietly hired a GM years ago named Will McClay. So that's why everybody wonders, how does Dallas draft so well every year? How do they sign really good free agents from time to time? They make really good, smart trades. It's because they told Jerry Jones, you're still the GM, but we're going to do everything. And he was like, okay, do I get the credit? Yes. All right, cool. Narcissist wins.
There you go.
So now the Cowboys understand team building. So year in and year out, they're going to put out at least a contending product. Now, it doesn't guarantee the championship, but they're at least going to be in the mix. The Yankees don't. They used to. We talked about this too.
Yes,
they used to understand team building. Let's get 4 to 5 homegrown guys that we're gonna draft or sign from defecting Cuba or whatever, and we're gonna build and we're gonna grow and nurture, and they're gonna come to the show and they're gonna kick ass. And they did that during the 90s. They had their core 4. They had Jeter, Posada, Pettit, Mo. And a couple other, and even Bernie too. You throw him in there too.
Throw Bernie in there. Yes.
All homegrown Yankees. And then they strategically went out and got a Paul O'Neill, and they got a Chuck Knobloch, and they got a Tino Martinez, and they got a Scott Brocious, and they got back end guys like Stanton and freaking Wetland and so forth, and Roger Clemens. They made targeted moves to flex. Okay, we got the money to do it and the resources to do it. Come on board, or Strawberry, or David Justice. The Yankees are backwards. Because now they're just like, all right, we're gonna have homegrown guys, baby bombers. We're gonna have Aaron Judge and Gary Sanchez. We're gonna go trade and get Gleyber Torres. He's in the bunch too, baby bombers, and we're gonna build around this core. No, instead, you're going to have that core, you're going to bring them up, and then you're going to get analytics guys because it's Moneyball. Now, since I think Brian Cashman watched the movie Moneyball and was like, oh, I can do that. Yeah, then he can win like that.
He basically wants to be Billy Beane with a higher payroll. Exactly. That's all he wants to do.
Exactly. So they do that, which is ass backwards now, because if you look at all the teams that are the top tier teams now, they're doing what the Yankees did during their championships years. Yeah. They have a ton of homegrown guys, and then since there's no salary cap in baseball, they're going out and getting guys and getting hired guns, whether signing or trading for a year or two of control to then plug in holes to go with their homegrown guys, and they're dominating. Look at the Braves. All their main guys are homegrown guys. And again, we mentioned this too in the pre-pod. Look at the Dodgers. So miss me with the whole that you can't spend money or the luxury tax. Brian Cashman is afraid of the luxury tax like the boogeyman. He's we can't pass that. We can't pass that luxury tax because if we do that, they're going to dock us points. Meanwhile, the Dodgers, they're paying Mookie Betts like $1 billion. They just signed Freddie Freeman this past year. They gave Clayton Kershaw another $21 million. And guess what? The Dodgers want to sign Ohtani. They're definitely going to be in the Ohtani space. And go look at San Diego. San Diego has like a third of the payroll of the Yankees, And they still sign freaking Xander Bogaerts and Yu Darvish. They have Manny Machado. They got Fernando Tatis. I remember when they traded for Soto.
Yeah.
They for Soto. Like I watched. I have Apple TV Plus. I watched the Yankees Padres play earlier this year on Apple TV on Friday Night Baseball,
right.
And I'm just watching the lineups. And you would think that somebody just came in and just swapped the names, because you look at the Padres lineup and then you look at the Yankees lineup. And you would think if you didn't follow baseball and you were just a casual viewer, you'd just be like,
right.
like, wow, that Padre team, they got a lot of big names and a lot of big contracts.
Exactly.
Their payroll must be crazy. And then somebody taps you on the shoulder. The Yankees have like almost 3 times their payroll, and they can actually do that.
$292 million to be exact.
They can actually do that, but they don't. But they have made the conscious decision that they choose analytics and Moneyball over team building. And it's in 2023, and we're talking about baseball right now.
Yes, right.
You cannot build a winning product in Major League Baseball with their current model right now. You can't.
But what bothers me about the analytics is that, yes, I agree that in some cases it's a tool. It's a useful tool to help you win in the regular season. But what bothers me in the Yankees case, and I don't know about any other team's case, is that they live or die by the analytics, especially going into the playoffs. I've actually seen teams that have actually used analytics. The Tampa Bay Rays are probably the most analytic team in all of baseball. They're always in it. They're usually first place in the division these last couple of years. They actually made it to the World Series in the last couple of years. They didn't win it, but they made it nonetheless. I don't know how they do it. I know that the Yankees are deadly jealous of how they do the analytics, but I also feel like baseball, when you come to the real nitty-gritty of it, a lot of it also comes from the heart. You have to sometimes think with your gut. You have to think off the cuff sometimes. I feel even if maybe, I don't know, maybe Aaron Boone is hand tied to the back and he's not coming out public with it. Maybe he sees something that it is, but he has to follow chapter and verse with the binders that they have from the analytics department.
The binders.
He looks at the binder and he has to see what the analytics are, and that's how they got to go, and they got to live and die by it. He could be tied by his hands, or he could be totally in agreement with it. All I know is that it's not working, and we want to talk about how they do things backwards. I think one of the things that Brian Cashman really did, he really messed up this as far as making the roster this year, is we're the left-handed hitters.
Yeah.
Look, you're in Yankee Stadium. That thing is built for left-handed hitters.
314 porch.
Exactly. And this is supposed to be a home run or die team. That's the only way you're going to win games with this roster, by hitting home runs. And you don't have no left hitters. I don't know about you, but I don't eat half-baked cake, okay?
Half batter, half full. You're not down with that? But they used to talk about this, bro. Like, they used to have a Granderson and a McCann. And even Chavez was there for a couple of years. You had Brett Gardner. You had Jacoby Ellsbury. That's a big reason why they traded him from the Red Sox. He's like, all right, he doesn't hit four. He hit, I think, in his MVP season or his All-Star season with them, he had 30-plus home runs. Because, again, in Boston, they've got the pesky pole is actually closer than our porch or whatnot. Yeah. He thrived there. So they're just like, all right, let's just sign him away from there and let him come here and let him thrive. But he couldn't stay healthy. Right. But it's just like, they don't, again, it keeps going back to the same issue. They don't, right now, Brian Cashman doesn't understand team building. Rather than get stars, he feels like we can get a sum of guys, like 3 or 4 guys to equal a superstar.
Right.
Like rather than getting Bryce Harper, let's get 3 or 4 guys that equal Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
Rather than getting, and I swear, mark my words, they're going to follow the same logic over getting Ohtani or Soto, which would be a terrible mistake. It would be an awful mistake. If the Yankees don't get one of those guys, I'm not saying get both, like fantasy baseball. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, no. Just
get one of them. Pony up the trade and then sign him to a contract which will justify the trade and go get Soto. Or, listen, Ohtani, we'll cut you a check that you can't refuse, which is what they did with Cole. And Cole is just proof of what we're saying this entire hour.
Right.
The Yankees were just like, we're getting Cole. We don't care what the Dodgers offer. We don't care what the Angels offer. We don't care what the Giants offer. And they were offering crazy numbers. Hal Steinberg was just like, what do they offer? Offer more. What do they offer? Offer more. What do they offer? Offer more.
Yep.
And then, wait, what does he want? An extra year? Give him the extra year. Congratulations, Cole's a Yankee. They can do that with Ohtani, and you know they can do that with Ohtani. But mark my words, they won't do it.
Right.
They won't do it. I know they won't do it.
And also, I also want to be clear out there for the Yankee haters out there, because you know there are a ton of them. It's not, we're not saying that we need to spend every single dollar that we have to just get this player and that player. It's not like we're going to go to the old Steinbrenner ways where we just buy our championships. I hate that phrase, but it gets justified in some ways. You know, like we feel like, you just bought your championships. But if it's a player that you know that you want and that you need and it's going to help, you go and get that.
Yeah.
Instead of just following the numbers and trying to be Billy Bean with a bigger payroll.
Exactly. They did it with Rodon. Because 5 other teams wanted Rodon, but they had the same model they did with Cole. They're like, okay, how many years is Giants? You guys want him? No. Extra year. Okay, you can't pay a pitcher 7 or 8 years. Right. You got to stop at 5 or 6. They signed him because in their minds, they felt they were a pitcher away. Because again, I told you this before we started. I'm like, look at the projected opening day rotation. Look at the projected opening day roster for last year and this year. Yeah. It is a freaking carbon copy, because in their minds, they're just like, we made it to the ALCS last year. So we're just a pitcher away. Not knowing that you're just a year older of DJ LeMahieu, who's on the wrong side of 30, a year older of Stanton, and an Aaron Judge injury away from this falling off the rails. And what happened? He got hurt, and nobody could hit. Rizzo got older. It's like as soon as Judge got hurt, everybody just got 3 years older, and then nobody could hit on nights that they could pitch, or nobody can pitch on nights guys can hit. They just couldn't mirror the two together. That's what happened, and that's why, again, they're not making the playoffs. So
no, they're not.
So Steinbrenner and Cashman not pulling the plug, that's going to hurt them, because I don't know what they do in the offseason outside of, again, if their plan does not start with, okay, how do we get Soto or Ohtani? If that's not at the top of their list, if it's some Billy Bean 5 players equals 1 guy, if that's the plan going in, they ain't winning next year. They're not, unless Volpe morphs into Derek Jeter overnight. That's not happening. That's not happening. He's good. I like him. But they need, it's not even they want, they need an Ohtani or a Soto type player right now, because Judge can't do it.
Yeah, and they can't give me any rubbish about they can't do it. They can do it.
They can do it.
Yeah,
they can do it. It's either do you want to do it or you don't want to do it. It's not. Don't give me the can't, because the can't is that is impossible. In baseball, we're talking baseball. It's impossible.
And we're talking about the Steinbrenners here. Come on, they print money, for God's sakes. They print money. They don't have to worry about penny pinching or anything like that. They print money.
Payroll in baseball, with no salary cap. Can people wrap their minds around that? It's you can go to the supermarket and buy whatever you want and not have to worry about, or go to the mall. You go to the mall and go shopping or whatever for yourself, whatever.
Nothing for the clearance rack.
Nothing for the clearance rack. You can walk in a friggin' Nordstrom or Gucci or whatever, and it's not gonna hurt you.
No.
You can buy a whole wall, and it's not gonna hurt you. You have a lifelong block card.
Right. But I also think it's also a lack of accountability. I just mentioned before that both Cashman and Boone got extensions this past year. So they know they're going to be here for a couple of years. So there's no accountability. There's no awareness. There's no sense of urgency. So I feel like as far as Cashman feels like he's safe within the organization, he's just going to take his sweet time, or he thinks he knows what he's doing. It's just a sense of arrogance, according to me, with that whole aspect of the general manager. He's already been ingrained for the Steinbrenner family for years.
Yeah.
He's essentially a second son to George Steinbrenner, a second brother to Hal Steinbrenner now. But so there's no lack of awareness. And I feel like that just leads to arrogance and just this whole thing, like whenever they do bad and then they have to come up to the podium, and especially with post games, like one of the things that have been really frustrating me with Aaron Boone is that he always tries to spin some kind of positivity. Like I remember they got crushed by the White Sox, but then afterwards he tries to paint like Michael Kay would say, he puts lipstick on a pig. So where he just basically, we're trying to get some hits. So I thought if we just kept them in there, we could have built off of that. What are you building besides the coffin of the season?
I felt that one.
Yes. Listen, us Yankee fans are like, as much as arrogant and spoiled as we may be, we're some of the smartest fans in the game.
We're knowledgeable about our team.
We can smell BS. We absolutely can. You can't sell me.
I remember it was a Sunday night game, and we'll switch to football after this because I'm done. They played the Orioles on Sunday Night Baseball. Severino gives up 7 runs in the first inning. I don't know. Mind you, he's still in the rotation, but that's neither here or there. That's another story. We struck out it was like a club record, I think, for over a 6-inning span. They struck out like 18 times in 6 innings. Mind you, our hitting coach is Aaron Boone's buddy, who was he was just working for MLB Network like last month.
Yeah.
That's who you hire. You fire your hitting coach, which you needed to do because he was terrible. Just like Marcus Timms was terrible last year.
Yes, he was.
You fire your second hitting coach in the last 2 years. So rather than go sign an established guy that maybe might be a year out but has done it, you go sign your buddy off the TV screen, thinking that's going to solve the problem because you guys were friends when you played for the Reds 30,000 years ago. You go sign him figuring that's the fix. That's the fix right there. I'm going to sign my buddy Sean Casey, who's never done the job before in his life. He was just calling games. He was just giving analysis last week. You hire him as your hitting coach. How do you think that turned out? Yeah. I'm done with the Yankees. Get off my soapbox. It's terrible.
You're channeling your inner Joe Benigno right now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm done with them. I'm done with them. They're Donald Lemon. I went to school with a Don DeMarco.
Yeah. Shout out to all the pain. Shout out to Hackensack Brewing Company. But let's make the transition now to, because I feel the frustration right now.
Yeah, I
know we didn't touch really much on the Mets, but I think they.
We did. No, we did. We covered enough of them.
But we feel like they're probably going to be in a much better spot than the Yankees.
They will, because they had the foresight to sell instead of buying. It was like the opposite of trading places at the end of the movie.
Great analogy.
Yeah, exactly. Analogy, yeah. So, so switching to football, I'll tee it up. I'll tee it up for you. They own a day of the week. Like the movie Concussion. You guys acquired Aaron Rodgers, future Hall of Famer.
Future Hall of Famer, full-time MVP.
Yes.
Super Bowl champion.
Multiple killer of the Cowboys in the playoffs. I still have PTSD from that guy.
And you got to face him again this year.
And we have to face him again this year. He's like Michael Myers. He just won't die. Just won't die. Between the peyote and the beard, he just won't go away.
Is the peyote, or I think it was ayahuasca.
It's a little bit both.
Yeah,
he probably does both. He just rotates.
He's an oddball, man, but what a hell of an athlete.
Oh, he's a hell of a football player, hell of a quarterback. First ballot Hall of Famer. But he comes to the Jets. You guys, I feel like you guys were a playoff team last year. I told Mongo this on our show. I told Joe this when he came on our show. I told him this off camera. I feel like you guys were a playoff team, at least a wild card team away last year.
Absolutely.
My question is, with Rodgers, how do you realistically feel? We're about 2 weeks, about 2.5 weeks away from kickoff,
right,
to week 1. Do you feel right now, sitting here, do you guys, I believe you're a playoff team.
Yes.
Unquestionably. How potent of a playoff team do you feel like you guys are going when the season's done, considering that the AFC is loaded more now than ever before?
Yeah,
I mean, you got Josh Allen, you got Patrick Mahomes, you got Joe Burrow, you got Lamar Jackson coming back, you got Trevor Lawrence ascending.
That Justin you got from the Chargers.
Oh, you got Justin Herbert coming along. You got probably 6 or 7 top flight quarterbacks, not even including Aaron Rodgers. It really, I call it on my show all the time. Marv remembers it. I call it the Hunger Games. AFC is the Hunger Games, like for real.
Yes.
Where do you see the Jets factoring in that race when the regular season is done and the tournament starts?
Honestly, man, I think it's towards the end of the season. I think it's going to be neck and neck between us and the Buffalo Bills. Now,
for the division.
For the division. Now, I don't necessarily think that the Bills are going to be as good as everybody paints them to be, because it feels like last year they took a step back. They didn't feel like the Bills that were going to take that next step from the year prior, because the year prior, I thought they were going to the Super Bowl. Yeah. This last season, I feel like there was something going on. There could be some drama going on behind the scenes between Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, I'm sorry. Yeah. At least I didn't say Diggs. But no,
they were projected, sorry to cut you off, but they were projected to even go to they were Super Bowl favorites last year.
They were.
But 2 years ago and last year. Literally the last 2 years.
But the problem is, this past year, I felt like they were missing something. Like they just didn't look like the one from the team from the year before. So I feel like we have that advantage. I think that we're going to finally have the edge over the Patriots finally. I think they're going to be the worst team in this division this year, bar none. They don't know what they're going to do with their quarterback. Yeah, they got Bill O'Brien as their offensive coordinator, but I think that's only going to go so far. The Dolphins scare me a little bit, but that only really depends on the health of Tua Tagovailoa. Other than that, I think that they are definitely a strong team. I have questions about the quarterback's health, and I also got questions about their head coach. I don't know if he's really all that's praised up to be, but I feel very confident in a very long time. But I also, because I am a Jets fan, I have to hinder some of that confidence, because I feel like I've seen something that's going to happen, or I feel like something's going to happen in the back of my head. I try not to put it into existence, but there is that trepidation that I have every now and then when it comes to the Jets season. But I actually do believe that it's going to be neck and neck between us and the Bills. At the very least, we'll definitely be a wild card team. I think that we're going to finally end the playoff drought that now we have the longest playoff drought in all the NFL, which is really sad to say.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
How many years is it?
12 years now. 12 years.
Even Mars' face, his eyebrows.
I know. No, it's been bad, but I feel really confident, and and also just the aura of Aaron Rodgers, not just with the fact that he's one of the greatest quarterbacks that we ever seen,
Yeah.
and we see it in games time in and time out, but you just see that he actually wants to be here. He chose to be here. He wants to be here. He's embracing it. It hasn't phased him one iota. He's not getting involved into the glitz and glamour all that too much. He did go to Taylor Swift and he's going to Broadway and everything, but I don't think that's going to affect his game.
Mm-hmm.
I automatically see his presence making the team already better. You have Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, who are the Juice versus Sauce. There you go.
Streaming on all digital platforms.
Yes. You have AKA the defensive rookie and offensive rookie of the year
on the same team.
On the same team. And we did that with no quarterback last year.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson was just horrible, and then we couldn't figure out between Chris Trevler and Mike White. But expectations were higher. And I just think that this is going to make them guys better. I think that Garrett Wilson's going to have a monster year. If you're playing fantasy football, definitely get Garrett Wilson because I think his numbers are going to be up. And I'm looking forward to Robert Saleh. I think that his third year now coaching the Jets, I feel like he's learned a little bit from mistakes. He's not a newbie now, but he's got to win now. I think he probably has the most pressure out of any head coach in the NFL right now because he has to win. The expectations are high. You're in a big city market. It's all or nothing now. But to answer your question, I really feel confident going in this year, but I do have a little bit of trepidation in the back of my mind.
Oh, agreed. Yeah, I think you guys got a legit shot. I really do. As long as he stays healthy, as long as your defense doesn't take a step back, as long as your offensive line holds up,
right,
and as long as Rodgers can understand, I think he's got to shake off. He's got a little stigma around him, especially come playoffs, because he's lost a lot of. It's not that he's just lost a lot of games in the playoffs, because everybody loses games in the playoffs. Right. It happens. This isn't Madden. You don't win a Super Bowl every year.
Even Tom Brady has a bad playoff.
Exactly. And Peyton Manning didn't have a pristine playoff resume until he started winning championships.
He's like lucky if he's
exactly. But he's lost a lot of home playoff games with the Packers as the top seed in Lambeau, including his last game was a win and get in against the Lions at home, and he lost.
Yep.
His last two home playoff games, he lost. So he's got to really shake that. And I think you guys are going to be dangerous. You guys are in the mix, in that Hunger Game mix in the AFC 1000%. So it should be exciting. Now I'm going to Dallas, America's team, 5-time world champion Dallas Cowboys. I think they've won 24 games in the last 2 years. As much as people want to get on Mike McCarthy, they haven't had back-to-back double-digit winning seasons since 1992 or something like that. So by default, he's been the best quarterback. He's been the best head coach we've had since Jimmy Johnson, it's been a long time. It's been a long time. It's almost 2 decades full. I think what he's instilled here is what he instilled in Green Bay. Listen, we're not going to be like this massive juggernaut like Madden that goes undefeated every year, but we're going to be in the conversation of the Super Bowl every season as long as we stay healthy. And 2020, the COVID year, you throw that out because that was terrible on everybody.
Yeah, it was
it was really terrible on us because we lost Dak. Dak broke his leg in that year or whatnot. So you lose your quarterback and a big chunk of your roster and your first year as a head coach. That aside, his last 2 years, 12-5, 12-5. And you won a playoff game last year on the road, something they hadn't done since 1992. Is this a common theme? This guy's doing stuff that I haven't seen since I was 4 or 5 years old. He actually gets his flowers. He's actually doing a good job or whatnot. It's going to be incumbent on really bullseyes on our quarterback.
Yeah.
And he's been a lot better than people want to give him credit for because he plays for the Cowboys. We've been through this about being the most popular team and having the haters and whatnot and the arrogance and whatnot. But last year, he threw a lot of interceptions. For his career, that has not been him. He's not been a guy that's thrown 15 or 30 interceptions a year. Actually, Josh Allen, believe it or not, has the most turnovers among starting quarterbacks. You know this.
I know
most of our viewers and listeners, they don't know this. They think it's got to be Dak. I'm like, no, it's actually not. It's actually Josh Allen. He leads in interceptions and fumbles combined over everybody. So I think that with Mike taking over at play calling, with CeeDee Lamb emerging as the superstar that I knew it was in there because I saw him at Oklahoma and I was like, that guy goes to the NFL to the right team. He's going to be a problem. He's the problem. Micah Parsons, who went to Penn State, everyone knows unequivocally it's probably Aaron Donald Micah, and Nick Bosa, in whatever order you want to put it. Those are the 3 best defensive players, all-around defensive players in the league. We have elite players pretty much at every major position. We've got an elite cornerback, an elite linebacker / pass rusher, an elite wide receiver, multiple elite offensive linemen. We've got all the pieces in place. Come playoff time, which is the biggest stigma, are they going to be the same old Cowboys that, okay, we win 12 games, we get to the playoffs, might win a game, but that divisional round, which is technically the quarterfinal round, we're going to stop there. We're good. We can't get past that. Are they going to be like, no, let's put it together and take a step further, or are they going to be the same ones? Because what's held them back has been a combination of coaching. Like I said that. And Mike McCarthy, what he's done the past 2 years has been testament to that, is the coaching and mentality of the team, because everybody's good in the NFL. You can agree with this. Everybody's good. Everybody has talent. Everybody can draft, for the most part, drafts, signs big names. Everybody's talented. But the reason why the Chiefs have won 2 of the past 2 Super Bowls, and why they really should have won a 3rd, why they're in the mix, is because come playoff time, they know that they're good. They know they have Patrick Mahomes. But Andy Reid gets that little extra bit to be like, all right, we're good, but how can we overcome a deficit in the playoffs? How can we're not playing our best for 2 quarters. Let's step it up and let's get that mental hump to win this playoff game. The Chiefs have been down in the playoffs multiple times throughout those 2 championships they won. And they came back and they won just about all of them, except against the Bucks, where they didn't have an offensive line.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? So are they going to be able to get over that mental hump and the coaching hump and that player mentality hump? Because that's what's stopping them. It's not the roster anymore. Because since Will McClay has been there, they've drafted well and they have the players to do it. Can they overcome the other stuff this year, or is it the same old Cowboys? Because that's what's been keeping them back. It hasn't been Jerry Jones. A lot of people believe that, but they don't follow sports. They just watch ESPN.
Well, it's just he's the face of the franchise at the end of the day. I mean,
exactly.
When you're a face of the franchise, no matter who you are, you're always going to get the brunt of the blame.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And he owns the team, so it comes with the territory.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Now, sticking on the subject of New York sports, though, like as far as the Giants go, what are your expectations for the Giants?
I think the Giants, they'll be a playoff team again. I think that with that extra wild card that they brought in, that helps a fringe team like them. That you only need 9 or 10 wins, or sometimes 9 wins, that'll get you. Yeah, same in the AFC. I know the Jags won their division, but still 9 wins. That's all it took for them.
Yeah, it was a terrible division. Anyway.
Exactly.
Who are they going against? Tennessee Houston.
Twice, Houston twice, and Indianapolis twice. Yeah, it's not saying much. I think the Giants will be a playoff team this year, because Brian Daboll, he's a really damn good coach, man.
Hey, listen, man.
They got that right. And they got a good GM, too, on top of that.
They have a good GM, but I even told this to a couple of people, and I'll even say this on air right now. Before Robert Saleh was hired. Now, when they hired him, I was happy, especially since we got rid of that travesty, which was Adam Gase, which I never wanted in the first place. Mm-hmm. But I was excited that when we got Robert Saleh, because I saw how he was in San Francisco, and he had the best defense in the league, and he's like a fiery guy that you want to run a wall through from. So I was really happy. However, I wouldn't be honest if I didn't say that my top guy was Brian Daboll. I definitely wanted Brian Daboll to be the head coach of the New York Jets. We even interviewed him, and we let him walk out of the building. But I thought it would have been so beneficial because his resume is impressive, whether it was in college in Alabama or in the NFL in New England. And he also transformed Josh Allen to a top 5 quarterback. But everybody thought that he had huge bust potential.
Yep.
And now we could have taken him away and kept him in the division. Mm-hmm. And probably we could have developed Sam Darnold or even Zach Wilson, dare I say, to be better quarterbacks than what they are. But yeah, that was my guy. And I kept on telling every Giant fan last year, or his first year as head coach, watch, you guys, I don't know if you guys are going to make the playoffs, but you guys got yourself a head coach. You shouldn't be so down on the year. He's going to help Daniel Jones. I don't know if he's going to turn him into a top 10, top 5 quarterback, but he's definitely going to help him out. You guys are going to give him the money, but trust me, you guys are in great hands with Brian Daboll. A lot of people had a lot of trepidation about it, and I actually feel proud that I was actually right on it, but there was still part of me that wished that he was our coach, but I still love Robert Saleh. But the pressure's on. You got to win now, coach.
I wish Daboll was your coach because he's in our division and we got to deal with the Giants twice a year. I just know that they're trending in the right direction, even with Daniel Jones, who I still don't think is that good of a quarterback. I think he's okay. He's like solid. He's very Eli.
He's very serviceable.
He's very Eli-esque in that sense. I think I wasn't even a big fan of Eli, but the thing with Eli, at least, Eli figured out, okay, I could turn the ball over like crazy during the regular season. As long as I don't turn it over in the playoffs and we run the ball and play good defense, we could probably beat anybody. And that's how they won both of those Super Bowls. It wasn't from this amazing Hall of Fame, out of this world performance by Eli Manning. All he did was just not turn the ball over, run the football, and just run the offense. If Daniel Jones is just that, with the way that they're drafting now and the way that their coaching is installed right now with Dable, they'll be a dangerous wild card team. They will, because I still think Philly, it's going to be out of us and Philly. It's going to come down to health for the division. Washington is sneaky good too, because if Sam Howell if he's anywhere near what he was in college or whatnot, it's just, I don't think Ron Rivera is a good coach. That's what's going to hold them back. But they got new ownership now. So that new ownership with Magic Johnson in that group, that is going to help them immensely, because they might turn around and they might start drafting well all of a sudden. And then Washington becomes a problem. So I think right now, to answer your question fully, I think the Giants do go back to the playoffs, barring health. If Daniel Jones has to stay healthy and Saquon needs to stay healthy, that's really the key. If Saquon gets hurt, they are going to suffer immensely, because when Saquon's not in a lineup, Daniel Jones turns into Zach Wilson. He's very bad when he's not in there, because he's going up against open boxes now and he has to actually throw the football. But when Saquon's in there, you can't play the Giants like that, because he'll turn around and run the ball 90 yards for a touchdown. Right. You know what I mean? That changes everything. So it's funny. It's what people were saying for the longest, what Dak is. Oh, Dak is pedestrian without Zeke. And then Dak turned around and threw for 5,000 yards, and you couldn't say that anymore. You can't say that it's all about Zeke. And Zeke's not even on the team anymore.
No, he's not.
So you really can't say that anymore or whatnot. So it's just like, but it's the opposite with Daniel Jones. You take away Saquon or you don't have a run game, it's really hard to win with Daniel Jones as your quarterback. And they have no choice, because I think they gave him $40 million over 5 years. So he's their guy. So they got to ride it out with him. But they'll be a playoff team and they'll be dangerous as long as their coach is what I fear more.
That's what gives the confidence.
That's what I fear, the coach, and I fear the running back in New York. Daniel Jones does not strike fear into my, he doesn't keep me up at night or whatnot. But Dable does. Dable does, 100%.
He'll find a way. Marv, our engineer, I was wondering if you could do us a favor really quick.
Talk to me. What's up?
Yeah, I want to do something. I want to do the win-loss projection for the season for both the Jets and the Giants. Are you down for that?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. I was going to say, do you want to do it on your phone, and then afterwards we'll just compare afterwards?
I'm a pen and pad kind of guy.
I love that. I love that.
Old school.
I love the pen and pad guy.
Like
yes. So let's just take a little brief moment.
Yep. This is brought to you by First Class Second Place Podcast and the Ugo Boy Podcast. Now streaming on all digital.
Live from Preview Studios.
In lovely Garfield, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Bravery up.
All right. I guess I'll ask you I'm gonna give you the schedule for the New York Giants, and then afterwards you could give me your win-loss for each game individually.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So how should I chart this? Should I
just
the game?
Just do, for right now, just do Giants, and then afterwards just put W for win, L for loss, and just mark down any time he says win or loss.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So starting off with the regular season, you know this is coming right here. So week 1 versus the Dallas Cowboys.
I'll be at that game. That's a loss.
That's a loss. Okay. Week 2 at Arizona.
That's a win.
Okay. Week 3 at San Francisco.
It's a loss.
Week 4 versus Seattle at home.
They host Seattle?
They host Seattle.
It's a win.
All right.
Yeah.
Week 5 at Miami.
It's a loss.
Okay. Week 6 at Buffalo.
It's a big loss. It's a double-digit loss.
Week 7 home against the Washington Commanders.
Those games always come down to a wire, but that's a win.
Okay.
And they'll win at home.
And this is going to be marquee for both of us. Week 8 at home versus against the Jets.
That's going to go to overtime, I believe. That's going to be such a close game. That's a toss-up, because you guys...
CBS game at 1:00.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
You might go to that game. The tickets aren't crazy.
I am a 1:00 guy. I will say that. Yes.
Oh man, I'm gonna go with a loss. I think a very close field goal. Whoever has the ball last, that'll be lost.
All right. Week 9 at Las Vegas.
Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
They'll win that.
All right. Week 10 at Dallas.
Lost. I mean, every time they play, this is lost. Unless Eli Manning comes out of retirement.
Week 11 at Washington.
They won earlier in the year, right? I had them as a...
Yeah.
We're gonna win that game.
All right.
We're gonna win that game.
Week 12 versus New England.
They host
Yes.
New England.
Yes.
They win that game.
All right. Week 13 is a bye week for them. Week 14 at home versus Green Bay.
They win that game.
Okay.
They win the game.
Week 15 at New Orleans.
It's a loss.
All right. Week 16 at Philly.
It's a loss.
Week 17 at home versus the Rams, Los Angeles.
They win that game.
All right. And finally, at week 18, which is to be determined, at home against Philadelphia.
Another loss.
All right.
They can't beat Philly. They can't beat Philly and they can't beat
Yeah.
us, which is ridiculous.
What do you got to tally up there right now, Marv?
10 losses, 7 wins.
7-10 for the New York Giants.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can flip flop maybe 1 or 2 there. They'll be somewhere between 7-10 and 9-8.
All right.
That's their window.
All right. Once my phone starts acting, now we can get into the Jets schedule.
And I'm gonna turn this into a graphic too. So we can,
All right.
Okay,
Awesome.
cool,
Awesome.
cool.
I'll turn it into a graphic.
All right. For Ugo's boys prediction for the Jets season 2023, week 1 at home, Monday Night Football against Buffalo.
They're hosting?
They're hosting September 11th. Monday Night Football, ESPN primetime.
Oh, man. That's a tough game, bro.
But I will say that is a game that the Jets have to win.
I think
They have to win in order to start the season off great.
I think you'll win the game because you guys beat Buffalo in Jersey last year.
Yes, we
and
did.
That was one of your best games.
And we were underdogs. We were 9.5 underdogs.
Yeah, you guys actually beat up Allen in that game a lot. He got hit a lot in that game.
That
So,
defense came for him.
They did. They
Right,
did. So I think you guys start off 1-0.
All right, that's going to be a win for the Jets on week 1. Week 2 at Dallas.
That's our home opener. We got to beat you guys. We have to beat you guys. You got Aaron Rodgers going up against Mike McCarthy again, and we should have beat him last year, but didn't because Kellen Moore's an idiot. Yeah. So yeah,
that's a 4:25 game.
And it's going to be a national game. That'll be a game of the week. So yeah,
That's CBS.
We got to beat you guys. We have to. We have to.
Week 3 at home versus New England.
It's a win. Yeah, I think you guys finally break. You guys lost like what, 12 in a row to him?
12 in a row, yes.
Yeah, you guys got to beat him. You
gotta
guys
break
beat
the streak.
If you can't beat him this year,
to echo Joe Benigno's words, not only do I want to beat them, but I want to keep running the numbers against them, keep running the score. Even if it's 57-0, keep it going. Don't run it down their throat.
as long as Rodgers is healthy, you guys should win that game.
Yes.
Yeah,
All
you'll
right.
win that
So
game.
week 4 at home versus Kansas City.
Ooh, Chiefs. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, now this is going to be interesting. I'm locked in for this game in week 5 at Denver because Sean Payton has been talking a lot of trash. He threw Nathaniel Hackett under the bus, and he put the target on his back when he was talking trash about the Jets. And then you're going to have a motivated Aaron Rodgers for not feeling how Nathaniel Hackett was thrown under the bus by Sean Payton. So I think he's going to be angrily motivated.
You guys will win that game. I think Denver will be a little bit better than last year,
Right.
which is not saying
Not
much.
saying much, yeah. Week 6 versus Philadelphia at home.
At home, you guys are home?
Yes.
Oh.
Week 7, we have a bye week. That's pretty early, whatever. So this is weird. So at week 8 at the Giants, which it's a home game for the Giants, but it's still at MetLife.
Yeah. Did I say the Giants were going to win that? Or did I say you guys were going to win
You
it?
said it was by a field goal.
I think you guys, I give it to you guys.
Okay.
You
all
guys.
right. Week 9 at home versus the Chargers.
You guys got that one.
All right. Week 10 at Las Vegas. That's also a night game.
You guys are going to win. Garoppolo's not good, man.
No.
People swear that he's great, and I don't see it.
Yeah. And then week 11 at Buffalo.
That's a loss.
All right. Week 12 at home versus Miami.
That's a win.
All right. Week 13 at home versus Atlanta.
That's a win.
All right. Week 14 at home against Houston.
It's a double-digit win.
Week 15, now heading into the holidays at Miami.
You guys beat them early, but they get you guys this time.
All right. Week 16, Christmas Eve against Washington at home.
You guys win.
All right. Week 17 at Cleveland.
I don't know how Cleveland's going to be. I don't know how Deshaun Watson's going to look this year. So that's a
the
hard
wild
one to
card
pick.
there, yeah.
I'm going to give it to you guys.
Okay.
Barely. I'm going to give it to you guys.
Barely, all right.
Yeah.
And then finally, we close out the season, week 18 at New England.
You guys beat them earlier.
Bill Belichick's going to want revenge because he hates the Jets.
Yeah.
Despises them.
I can't see y'all sweeping New England. I think it's always going to be, I think with Rodgers, as long as Rodgers is there, you guys are going to split every year. So I got the Pats.
Okay, so
Squeaking
what do
out.
you got there, Marv? What's the tally up?
Can you give me week 8 again?
Week
Who
8.
was that against?
Week 8 against, was that the Giants? Week 8 was against the Giants, yeah.
As a win for the Jets. It's a win for the Jets.
And 18.
against New England.
That's a loss.
You said that's a
That's a
loss.
loss, yeah.
Okay.
Jets. So what's the tally up?
13. 5.
13-5 playoffs, baby.
Yeah. I had y'all between 12 to 13 wins.
All right. So
I had
there you
that, I
go.
had that.
That is Ugo Boy's prediction for the Jets and Giants this year. Since you are a Cowboys fan, should we do the Cowboys for you really quick?
You can do them.
All
You
right.
can do them. I'm always honest.
Yeah.
I'm always honest with.
I want to be fair too. 'cause-
Yeah, it's funny because people, the ESPN as Fox have like convinced people that Cowboy fans are delusional, which is a lie. It's not true.
Are you talking about Colin Cowherd and them?
Yeah. All the TV wrestling promo guys,
Mhm.
because they're not really sports analyst guys. They're just like Cowboy fans are delusional. No,
Yeah.
you guys hype us up, and then when they lose, they blame the fans.
Right.
But yeah. But I'm not one of those guys. I'm not
All right.
delusional.
So let we go. Here we go now. So week 1 at New York Giants.
I'll be there.
Mhm.
That's a win.
All right. Week 2 versus the Jets at home.
That's a must win. That's a playoff game in my eyes. That's a win. That's a win.
Week 3 at Carolina.
It's a win.
I'm sorry, Arizona.
It's a win.
Okay. Week 4 at home versus New England.
Belichick's gonna make it rough on us, but I think we win that one too.
All right. Week 5 at San Francisco.
That's a loss.
All right.
I don't know why we can't beat that.
Week 6, this is a primetime game, Monday Night Football at Los Angeles Chargers.
Kellen Moore revenge game. I think it's a loss.
All right. Week
It's a
7
loss.
is a bye week, so you guys are not playing by us. Week 7. Week 8, home against the Los Angeles Rams.
It's a win.
All right. Week 9 at Philadelphia.
It's a loss.
All right. Week 10 at home versus the Giants.
It's a win.
All right. Week 11 at Carolina.
It's a win.
Week 12 at home versus Washington.
It's a win.
All right. Week 13 at home versus Seattle.
It's a win.
Week 14 at home versus Philadelphia.
They beat us earlier. We beat them this time.
All right. Week 15, I'm sorry, at Buffalo.
That's a loss.
Week 16 at Miami.
That's a win.
All right. And finally, no, sorry, 2 more. Week 17 at home versus Detroit.
That's a win.
That's a Saturday game
Yep.
at 8.
Yep. That's a Saturday game. Yep.
And finally, to round it out, week 18 at Washington.
That's a loss.
All right. And so what do you have?
Should be 12-5.
I have 13-4.
13-4.
4? Oh,
All right.
4, 12. Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
I'm gonna get probably 1 or 2 of those wrong. I said coming in, I said 12-5.
Okay.
For the 3rd straight year. That's what I saw. We'll probably, because that's what we've been doing, especially since Mike McCarthy's gotten there, 1 or 2 games a year that we're absolutely supposed to win. We'll be even winning going into the 4th. We'll just find a way to cowboy it up and lose.
Yeah.
It happened twice last year. We talked about it.
Yes, we did.
Jacksonville and Green Bay. We win both of those games. We're 14-3. We're the top seed, but we lost both. Philly got the top seed. The rest is
Yeah.
history.
Marv, I
So-
know you're not really a football fan, but if we invite you to a game, would you go?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I like anything live.
Nice.
That's cool
Nice.
with me.
You got to hit a tailgate for sure.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I want to do hockey, too, if you guys
Oh,
do
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. We'll do hockey.
I went to Devil Stars this year. It was my first
Nice.
hockey
Yeah.
game.
Nice.
First hockey
I heard
game.
hockey is the most exciting thing to
It's
watch.
not-
It's much better when it's live
Yeah,
instead of
yeah.
It's
watching
cold,
on
though.
Yeah.
Because the
I've
ice
heard
is
that.
cold.
Bundle up. Just bundle up.
I've
Yeah.
heard. Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to Cowboys Giants the opening night, 100%. Are you going to a Jets game this year? You got to go to that. You got to go to one.
Have to.
You got to go to
I
one.
have to.
You should go to either the Giants game or the Philly game. One of those two
Or
games.
New England.
The price is going to be ridiculous for the New England
Yeah,
game.
but you know what? If we can whip the hell out of them, it'll be worth the money.
Yeah.
Let me know when you go. I'll come
Absolutely.
down.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I guess we're going to put a bow on it now. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on Yo New York Sports. I'm Jason Enrique,
I'm Ugo, boy.
and we are out live from Bravery Studios. We out.